Okay, we're going to talk about probe removal. In this case, the volunteer is taking a nice big back shot, but before we actually pull the probes, I want to take a second to talk about the forensic evidence that's contained in the wires and the probes themselves. If you notice, the wire is slightly coiled. This wire undergoes changes. For instance, if it would have had a miss or we wouldn't have struck a target, it's possible that wire might be a little bit straightened out. In this case, it's coiled up. We have the probes that are embedded in the back. When the wires and probes deliver energy, or they close the circuit and they deliver the electricity from the CEW down the wire into the probe, there are changes that occur not only at the end of the wire, but also within the probe itself. If your agency opts to keep this, it can be great forensic evidence in conjunction with the pulse graphs, the firing logs, and then the testimony from the officers and the witnesses as well. So please, if you don't keep this as evidence, if you simply trash it after a deployment in the field, consider the fact that you may be disposing of a lot of critical evidence. When you're taking the probes out themselves, we want you to take your support hand, stabilize it at approximately 6 to 8 inches away from the probe, grab the probe with your thumb and forefinger, and with significant force, pull. Once you pull it out, you want to make sure you check the end of the needle to make sure everything is intact and still attached to the end of the barb. For the standard cartridge, we want you to take this probe and secure it within the wire spool bay on the side, just like this. What we don't want you to do is put it back into the borehole and take any trace evidence that might be located on this probe and cross-contaminate it with trace evidence from the other probe. For instance, this probe, when I pulled it out, it may very well have skin, blood, and clothing fiber from the t-shirt she's wearing. This probe, 6 to 8 inches, pulling it out, checking it, making sure that everything is still intact. It's very difficult to tell in the video, but when I'm looking at this barb, I can actually see trace evidence from not only her pants, but her t-shirt as well. So that would be significantly different from this first probe, which was embedded in the t-shirt. Secure it in the wire spool bay, put it off to the side. In this case, we're going to treat the wound, pulling the t-shirt up slightly, and treating it with the alcohol and the Band-Aid. Careful, you're not gloved up, so don't get anything on you. When you take the alcohol pad, press it down and apply pressure. Don't go side to side. That's not enough direct pressure. Sometimes it won't stop bleeding nearly as quickly if you go side to side. Once you've got the bleeding contained, take the Band-Aid, simply apply it to the impact site, direct pressure. This one we're going to have her treat in the restroom with somebody who's going to be assigned as her buddy. Evidence, bio, any of the residual alcohol swipes and so forth. I'm going to pull the glove over top of the cartridge and simply contain this or secure this as evidence in conjunction with my agency's evidence protocol.